The following program contains naughty language that may be offensive to some people. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Wrong With The View podcast, a short, brief discussion about video games and other nostalgic things. Welcome to the Wrong With The View podcast. I am once again your devout, humble host, utahpunk. Today we're going to be diving a little deeper into the new Zelda game, and I can't think of the name of it. Breath of the Wild, that's it. I always want to have the word wind in there, but then I think, no, Wind Waker, and then I draw a blank, and is it Link breaks wind? Link passes gas? Link farts? No, it's The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. And we saw gameplay footage as well as a new trailer for it at this year's E3. Nintendo actually streamed it all day long. But we'll get more into that later. First, I want to say thank you to everybody who has supported this podcast up to this point. And the consensus seems to be that the shorter format is working well. So I'm going to stick with shorter formats. I think averaging about 8 to 10 minutes seems to be ideal. So I'm going to go ahead and try to limit myself to only rambling on for about 10 minutes, give or take. So, yeah, thank you for your support and for your comments and your feedback. It's been much, much appreciated. So, the new Zelda game. Oh, what do we know about it? Like I said, it was demonstrated at this year's E3 by Nintendo. They gave us a new trailer, and they also devoted an entire day to showing gameplay footage. Well, almost an entire day. They had some Pokemon footage and some other stuff as well, but they pretty much dedicated an entire day to showing Zelda. And it was well deserved because, let's face it, we've been looking forward to this new Zelda game for a long time. It's been delayed, and there's been delays and more delays. And Zelda fans, I think, look at this as it's like a drug. We've gotten a fix. We finally got a taste. That's only going to last so long, and now we've seen a little bit more, so that craving has been curbed at least a little bit, but, you know, it's not coming out until the end of 2017, which is still over a year away from now. And while I think right now, sitting here, I can make it, it's like a drug, and I'm eventually going to start to feel my skin start to itch just a little bit. I'm going to get that twitch in the corner of my eye, and I'm going to say, I want Zelda. I crave this Zelda. I want to see it. I want to play it. So, yeah, we got to wait till 2017, and it's no doubt going to have a dual release. It's going to be available on the Wii U, and it's also going to be available on the Nintendo NX, which, as of right now, is still shrouded in a little bit of secrecy. Nobody really knows what this Nintendo NX is actually going to be or what it's going to look like, what kind of interface it's going to have. There's rumors that maybe it'll be compatible with the 3DS XL, and you know, who knows? There's a lot of speculation out there. But there's no doubt in my mind that there's going to be a dual release for this new Zelda game on both systems. And there's going to be people out there who will buy a Nintendo NX just so that they can play Zelda. And I have no doubt that the NX version is probably going to be superior. It's probably going to be absolutely stunning visually. I mean, if you look at what we got already at E3 this year, you look at the graphics and you go, wow. Looks to me similar to some of the elements we found in Twilight Princess HD as far as the environment goes. It also borrows a lot of elements from Skyward Sword. There's also seems to be a large, I mean vast, expansive open world, which we haven't seen to this point. I remember during E3, they were in the plateau or the high region or the high country or something. I can't remember the name of it is off the top of my head. And up to that point, we'd seen them working within this one little world, this one little section. And all of a sudden, they zoomed out to the rest of the world, and that big area that we had been traversing around all of a sudden became really, really small on the overall size world. huge. There's going to be a lot of terrain for us to explore once this thing does become available. But I also noticed that that's very similar to what we got with Hyrule Warriors. Now, I know Hyrule Warriors is based on a different franchise, but it is still at least Zelda inspired. And so I think you borrow a lot of elements from those three games, and what we're going to get is massive. And Link can climb around, and he can interact with what looks like almost everything in the environment. I mean, I saw him climbing trees and climbing on buildings, climbing boulders and rock faces and mountains, and just, pretty much anything that's in the environment that you can climb, you can climb. And it reminds me a little bit of, like, Infamous. I've played that on the PS3, and I really enjoyed that, because in Infamous, you can climb around on every single building within that decaying city. You can explore the entire cityscape. You can go from building to building, you can climb around on different objects, and this kind of reminds me of that open world. I can tell right now I'm probably going to get distracted just climbing around and exploring, so this game is going to take probably a long time to complete. I mean, it looks huge, and then you add in these new elements, like cooking, which that seems to be there was some sort of crafting element involved in Skyward Sword, but it seems like you would take items that you found in and around the environment back to that one shop, and he would craft them for you. In this case, it looks like you're going to be able to actually, harvest the ingredients yourself, and you're going to be able to cook them and make dishes, and depending on what you make, will restore health. Simpler stuff, uncooked meat will only restore so many heart powers, but if you combine the meat with wild mushrooms or whatever, I can't remember what else there was, but I think wild mushrooms were in the game, and if you combine that and you make a stir fry, it replenishes more health, because you've now taken the time and you've actually crafted it. And I remember seeing it and going, wow, the vegetables are dancing around in the wok, in the skillet or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden, there you are. Here you are. Here's your stir fry, sir. Enjoy. Goes great with a bottle of red wine or whatever. I also, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, wow, this looks really cool. But I also couldn't help but think that things just looked a little overexposed, like a bad photograph. I was like, really, there needs to be some contrast in this. Everything looks like it's foggy. I don't know if that was just because of the image quality that I was getting because it was being streamed over the internet, and that once the game comes out, it's actually going to look a lot better. But I just thought, wow, it just looks so washed out. It's so overexposed. Throw some darker colors in there so that you get a sense that there's depth to stuff, that there's sort of a richer, deeper environment than what meets the eye. It felt so, and that's where I guess it looked more like Skyward Sword, because I felt Skyward Sword looked great visually, but it kind of felt flat in that they didn't give a whole lot of depth by adjusting the contrast so that the shadows looked dark and the areas that were being highlighted by the sunlight were being highlighted by the sunlight. And I just felt like the world and the environments, as a result, kind of looked flat. I know that maybe there's system limitations in place with the Wii U that prevents them from being able to render graphics that detailed, especially when you're considering the fact that the environment is going to be huge, probably bigger than anything we've ever seen so far in any Zelda game. But I guess I'm going to have to wait and see. After seeing the trailer and kind of complaining about it, going, God, this looks really bad, this really sucks. What the hell are they doing? But as I continued to watch the gameplay footage, I kind of forgot about the kind of foggy look of the environment and found myself actually being more interested in the mechanics, in the gameplay, and what you could do, and the fact that you can climb on all that shit that I mentioned earlier, and you can cook, and look, Link is barefoot kicking open these chests, and you've got this neat thing where you can summon up big pillars of ice from the water, and you can use what essentially I call it looks like a smart, like an iPad or a tablet, which I didn't know existed in that particular environment, but whatever. It's going to be interesting, and I'm really, really looking forward to finally seeing it and playing it for myself. Am I going to be the type of person who maybe buys it in advance, like pre-orders it so that I can get it when it comes out? I don't know. I've still got over a year to think about that. Am I going to go and see if I can get it at midnight when it releases? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Well, looks like based on the time, we have crossed over the 10-minute mark. We're now closing in on 10 and a half minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up now and say thank you. I could probably actually talk about Zelda for a lot longer, but I want to keep it short, and so I'm going to quit rambling on about it, and I would love to now hear from you guys. What do you guys think about this new Zelda game? What are your opinions? Am I wrong in thinking that it looks overexposed? Please leave comments, share your feedback. I would love for you to tell me that I'm wrong in all of this and that the game is going to look incredible. Because I do think it does look incredible. I just felt like maybe it looked a little overexposed and a little bit foggy. So those technical people who know and understand the technical side of what they had to deal with, maybe leave a comment. Let me know that I'm wrong and why I'm wrong. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. I will see you guys for the next episode, which is going to be episode 4. I have no idea what it's going to be about. But until then, be safe and happy gaming. Thank you for listening. This has been the ROM with a View podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.